The Son of God hangs upon a Roman cross, breathing his last to wash the sins of humanity away. As he speaks his final words, something terrifying happens in the sky above Golgotha. The sun fails. Midday turns into pitch black night. Now, travel 5,000 miles to the east, to Luoyang, the imperial capital of China's Eastern Han Dynasty. On that exact same day, court astronomers look up at the heavens in absolute horror. The daytime sky has suddenly plunged into total, miraculous darkness. It was an event so unprecedented, so unnatural, that the most powerful ruler in East Asia, Emperor Guangwu, withdrew into hiding for 5 full days, putting the entire government of his empire on hold. Terrified that heaven was pouring out wrath upon the earth, the emperor released a shocking imperial decree to his nation. Written in the official court archives, it read, "Yin and Yang have mistakenly switched, and the sun and moon were eclipsed. The sins of all the people are now on one man. Pardon is proclaimed to all under heaven." And buried deeper in those same ancient chronicles sits a mysterious, disputed phrase that has stunned scholars for centuries. The man from heaven died. Another miraculous event took place 3 days later at Jesus' resurrection, when a glowing halo surrounded the sun. And 30 years prior, at Jesus' birth, when a brilliant new star appeared in the sky, all recorded in the ancient scrolls of Chinese astronomers. Did they write down the divine story of Jesus Christ before the Gospels were ever finished? Or are we looking at the greatest cosmic coincidence in human history? To understand the darkness of the cross, we have to go back 30 years before the crucifixion, to a night that changed the world forever. The Gospel of Matthew records that mysterious wise men arrived in Jerusalem from the east, asking a single question:
"Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him."
For centuries, skeptics asked, where is the non-biblical proof of this star? If a cosmic event heralded the birth of the Messiah, why didn't the ancient world's greatest sky watchers see it? Here is the first major payback. They did. In the official history of the former Han Dynasty, there is a chapter dedicated entirely to astronomical records. In it, imperial stargazers logged an extraordinary event during the second year of the Jianping era, which corresponds to the spring of 5 BC. They recorded a brilliant celestial object, a bright, star-like light with a trailing tail appearing in the sky. And it didn't just flash and fade. The record states it remained visible in the night sky for over 70 days. Why is the date 5 BC so significant? Because standard historical consensus places the birth of Jesus between 6 and 4 BC, precisely before the death of King Herod in 4 BC. In Chinese astrology, the appearance of a 70-day guest star in that specific constellation signaled the death of an old era and the arrival of a brand new kingdom. The Magi saw a sign in the east and began traveling toward Judea. In China, court scholars picked up their brushes, dipped them in ink, and wrote on bamboo slips that heaven had ushered in a new age. If this were the only record, you might call it an intriguing coincidence. But what happened 30 years later defies all natural logic. We return to the moment Christ hung upon the cross. The Apostle Luke records the scene with chilling simplicity. "And it was about the 6th hour, and there was a darkness over all the earth until the 9th hour." 3 hours of absolute darkness in the middle of the afternoon. Now open the book of the later Han, which contains the historical records of ancient Chinese dynasties. There we can find a log of an unnatural solar event during the 7th year of Emperor Guangwu, around AD 31. The astronomers wrote, The sun was eclipsed, and it was dark. Now, here is where the suspense deepens, and where modern skeptics raise their strongest objection. Skeptics point out that a standard solar eclipse is scientifically impossible during Passover. Passover always takes place during a full moon, whereas a natural solar eclipse can only occur during a new moon. Furthermore, a natural solar eclipse lasts only a few minutes, not 3 hours. So how could the Chinese record a solar eclipse at Passover? That is precisely what terrified the Chinese astronomers. They knew the moon's cycle. They knew this event broke every law of nature they had studied for 1,000 years. It wasn't a standard eclipse. It was an impossible, miraculous darkening of the sun. The imperial court panicked. Emperor Guangwu believed that the supreme ruler of the universe was judging his empire. He hid in his palace, suspended military campaigns, and issued that infamous decree declaring that the sins of all people were placed upon one man. And in the commentary section of these astronomical records, researchers uncovered the phrase. Literally translated by some modern scholars, it reads, "The man from heaven died." Think about that framing. At the exact moment the Son of God died on a Roman cross for the sins of humanity, an emperor on the far side of the globe declared that the sins of the world were laid upon one man, and his astronomers recorded that the man from heaven died. Could any human mind coordinate a story like that across 2 isolated continents? If the story ended at the cross, it would already be one of the most compelling parallels in ancient history. But the Gospels do not end at the cross. On the 3rd day, the stone was rolled away. The tomb was empty. Christ rose from the dead, defeating darkness once and for all. Does the Chinese timeline record anything after the blackout of AD 31? In the Book of the Later Han, 3 days after the unnatural solar darkness, Chinese astronomers describe a radiant phenomenon in the morning sky. They documented a brilliant, rainbow-colored halo encircling the sun. To the court astronomers, it was a sign that heaven's order had been restored. In Han Dynasty tradition, a dark sky followed 3 days later by a sun halo signified one specific thing. The cosmic balance had been restored. The power of yin, darkness and death, had been conquered, and the divine light of yang had returned to bless the earth. The Gospel timeline says, darkness at the crucifixion, 3 days in the tomb, victory and light on Sunday morning. The Chinese imperial timeline says, unprecedented darkness covered the land. 3 days of imperial mourning followed. Then, a triumphant solar halo appeared, restoring light to the sky and hope to the people. So we return to our original question. Do these ancient Chinese writings prove the birth, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ? If you are looking for the name Jesus of Nazareth written in Chinese characters, you will not find it. The Han astronomers did not know the geography of Judea. They did not know the prophecy of Isaiah. They were not Christians. They were simply faithful observers of the night sky, logging what they saw onto imperial scrolls. And that is precisely what makes their testimony so staggering. They had no theological bias. They had no agenda to prove the Bible. Yet when you lay the Gospel of Matthew and the Gospel of Luke side by side with the official records of the Han Dynasty, the timelines do not just touch, they lock together like a key in a lock. A 70-day star in 5 BC announcing a new era. An unnatural afternoon darkness in AD 31 taking away the light of the sun. An imperial decree declaring the sins of the world laid upon one man. And a heavenly halo 3 days later announcing the return of light. The Chinese astronomers didn't know who they were recording, but 2,000 years later, their ancient brushstrokes remain as an undeniable testimony written in the stars. As Psalm 19 proclaims, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands." Long before the gospel message reached the borders of ancient China by human feet, the God of the universe had already written it across their skies.